How many of you know about Bitcoin, have been learning about it, have invested in it, or are like, okay, BTC, like. So I'm going to put this up and we're going to talk a little bit about this. BTC. This is a big one. I am not going to dive deep. I'm going to give you an idea. Essentially, what is it? If I had to put it in one sentence, it's a peer-to-peer transfer of value, monetary value, or a store of value between one party to the next. Connected to this is this idea of the blockchain. The blockchain, essentially, you may have heard, is just an online ledger. I want you to think of this like Google, like a Google Doc, a Google spreadsheet. If I send you a Google spreadsheet, when you type on that spreadsheet, I can see it on my spreadsheet. So I have that Google spreadsheet on my device, my computer. You type on it, I can see it. It's real time. That's blockchain. It is a ledger of what goes in, what goes out. If I pay you some money, it shows that I paid it, you received it. The money or the value is called Bitcoin. Put that down, and I'm going to explain exactly, in better terms, what that is. Okay, Bitcoin. So the money or the value is Bitcoin. Now, what's important to know about Bitcoin? Bitcoin, the main important thing to know is there's only 21 million Bitcoins that exist in Bitcoin. Okay, how do you, and what is it? Let's just understand it, because you can go down the rabbit hole here, and I don't want to complicate it. So essentially, if you have one Bitcoin right now is worth about, I think it's like 37,000 today, $37,000. You don't have to buy one Bitcoin. It's divisible by 100 million. So if you can buy like $1. You can buy $5. You can buy $3. Where do you buy Bitcoin? At an exchange online. Just like you have a bank account, you have an exchange. Coinbase is one of those exchanges. We've all heard of FTX that went belly up because of fraud, right? That was one place where people bought it. But the one that's best regulated, US regulated, that's been around the longest with the best track record is called Coinbase. And literally you can go there and you can buy Bitcoin. And right now, as of today, one Bitcoin is worth, to be exact, around $37,700. $37,700. That's what one Bitcoin is worth in dollars. Now, here's the beauty of Bitcoin versus fiat or dollars. Fiat is regular currency, like dollars or pesos or yens or pounds or euros. That's all called fiat. Dollars can be what? Debased. How are they debased? You guys know it. You've seen it. They can print more dollars, right? So now if you had $100 at the start of the pandemic, it's worth now what? $75, right? Right? If you had $1 million 100 years ago, $1 million 100 years ago, it would be worth $1,000 today. Why is that happening? Because after Nixon, after the 70s, it cut off from the gold standard. So the dollar wasn't pegged to gold anymore after the 70s. So now they literally can print more money. And you get what we call inflation, right? That's why I'm saying, hey, you guys should all raise your prices because you're competing against us. So they can literally print more money and debase your dollar. You cannot create any more than 21 million Bitcoin. It's programmatic. It's in the code. 2009, someone by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin during the banking crisis. And he did it so that way, the whole idea was like, this is hard money. There's only 21 million created based on the code. And it's an open source code. And you may think, oh, if it's open source, I can change it. No, because for you to change it, everybody that's using Bitcoin has to agree to that change. And if that happens, everybody loses. How does it work? Simply stated, there is what we call a bunch of, I'm going to call these miners, okay? B. Satoshi Nakamoto. No one's seen him or met him. There was a few people that exchanged emails with him that did see him. They met him. Hal Finney was one of those people. He had emails exchanged with him. But then after that, he just kind of dropped off. No one's, it's a really weird story. When you tell people this, they're like, what? Yeah, but there was email exchanges between Hal Finney and Satoshi Nakamoto, or the alias of Satoshi Nakamoto that created Bitcoin. And after 2009, he just dropped off. So it's about 14 years now, right? Now, here's the thing. How does this whole thing work? How does this whole thing work? Well, think of this. These Bs are what we call miners. Miners are not people that mine gold like you've heard about in the gold rush. Miners are essentially computers in today's day and age. They're like computers. So what miners do is all they do is they confirm or they validate stuff that happens on the blockchain. We said the blockchain was like a ledger, right? It's like Google spreadsheets. If I send Mary some money, it's saying that Ranesh sent Mary money, Mary received the money. So what a miner is doing is every miner has to validate or confirm, I sent her money, she received it, they confirm that on the blockchain. Many of these transactions get confirmed, and as they get confirmed, they fill up a block. Okay? So these things get confirmed. In fact, what I should do is, let me put this down better so you guys can see it. They fill up a block. Every 10 minutes or so, boom. Every 10 minutes, a block gets filled up. With what? With transactions. Every 10 minutes, a block gets filled up with transactions. Miners validate that block. This person sent this person money. We validate it. It's on the blockchain. It's like Google spreadsheets, right? And for doing that, they get a reward. And right now, it's 6.25 Bitcoin in 2023. The reward is I'm getting somewhere with this, so don't worry, I'll sum it all up. 6.25 Bitcoin. Okay, that's what it is. As they validate a block and they say, hey, this person sent this much money, they get 6.25 Bitcoin. Every 4 years, or 210,000 blocks, this reward gets cut in half. It's get cut down by 50%. Okay, so right now, 900 new Bitcoin come into circulation every day. So you can go to the exchange, you can buy Bitcoin, 900 new Bitcoin come into circulation every day. Every 4 years, after 210 of these blocks, 210,000 of these blocks get validated, every 4 years, this reward goes down by half. So 6.25 divided by 2 is 3.125. That halving, it's called a halvening, when the reward of all these miners that mine the Bitcoin, it goes down by half. That halvening is happening next year in 2024 in April. Okay, so now the supply is going to go down by half. So it's like, rather than getting 900 new Bitcoin into circulation every day, it's going to go down by half. You're going to get 450 Bitcoin in circulation every single day. We know that if the demand stays the same, but the supply crunches, what happens? The price goes up, right? That's the projected idea. Next year, April 2024, is the halving event. It's the halving event. Price is going to go up based on the supply-demand concept. Now, you may think, oh, the demand has to stay the same. They can judge demand because they can look at the blockchain. There's something called on-chain analytics. They can look at the blockchain and look at what's happening on-chain, on the blockchain, online, and they can see the volume of transactions. So they can judge demand, and they can see that computational power rise. It's called the hash rate, where they can see all these things that are happening online. So now rewards go down by half, supply goes down, supply crunch, demand, if it stays the same, if it's not even staying the same, it's rising, price goes up. Basic economics, right? Right now, there's been 19 million Bitcoin already in circulation. Majority of that is in people's hands that they're holding it, they're storing it on Coinbase or their own hard wallets or storage wallets or on an exchange, right? And there's best practices around where to store it, but 19 million are in circulation. About 5 million of those things have been lost. So there's really 14 million, and 2 million roughly are going to come out between now and 2140. 2140, 2 more million. So what I'm saying is that this is the hardest form of value, which is a store of value. They can't debase it. They can't print anymore. They can't attack it. For someone to attack this network, they'd have to attack 51% of all the miners. And there's tens of thousands of miners across the world. Across the world, everywhere. So it's kind of like shutting off the electricity in the whole world at the same time. At the same time. That doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. There's so many of these nodes or miners. Another name for a miner is a node. A node is a point of computational area, right? This is a Bitcoin miner. It's confirming this transaction on the blockchain. This other person is confirming it too. And as they confirm transactions, the blockchain is validated or verified. And the first person to confirm the transactions in one block gets rewarded with a mining reward of 6.25 right now. How do they confirm these transactions? I know we're getting, how do they confirm the transactions? They do what we call, they compete with cryptographic problems, mathematical problems. These computers solve mathematical problems to confirm this transaction. Cryptography, that is what they do. They solve cryptographic mathematical problems to confirm the transactions. Whichever computer wins gets the Bitcoin. Behind a computer is a human, right? A company, miners. But the computers are what's doing the heavy lifting. And they confirm the transaction, they get rewarded, right? And they do it by competing with everybody else. And they do it and they solve these tough math problems. It sounds really crazy and wonky, but that is what we call proof of work. They work, they prove that these transactions, I sent Mary something and Mary received it, or I sent someone, they received it, they prove it, they get rewarded, new Bitcoin come into circulation, and then the miners, some of them sell their Bitcoin, some of them keep them, whatever it is, and they keep it moving. That's essentially, in a nutshell, what you need to know. There's 21 million. There's different miners across the whole entire world, from China to Wyoming to New York to Paraguay to UK to Seoul, Korea to Singapore. Everywhere it's decentralized. There is not one CEO to this thing. It's like electricity. It's like, yeah, there's companies that own the electricity for your home, but with Bitcoin, there is not a person or a CEO or an entity that is a regulatory body. So even if they wanted to like stop it, they can't, because it's decentralized. It's not centralized within an ecosystem. So that's an important key part of it. It's decentralized. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You can't turn it off, right? It's everywhere. And it's scarce because there's only 21 million. And the supply is going down by half every 4 years. Unlike gold, gold was thought to be scarce. But what happens when the value of gold goes up? What happens? People come out with better technology to mine more gold, right? They better shovels to dig more gold, and that way come out with more gold. It's not the same with Bitcoin. When the supply goes down, you cannot create more of it. Hence, it's the hardest form of money or store of value. Hardest store of value. Right? Store of value. So my suggestion to you all, like I said, this is one point of research for you, but I think this technology here is going to be a tremendous store of value. You should all research this, look into this, learn up on it. Don't overlook it. Don't miss it, especially since in 2024, the halving is happening, where the rewards or there's a supply crunch coming. It's coming by half, right? I'm going to give you one great resource, which I think is probably the best one online, which I love. And this guy's awesome, all based on math and literally data. So let me give you that. James is amazing. You should just watch him, make your own decisions, and invest responsibly. So if I go to James, this is him. So you will learn so much. He has a whole playlist. He has a bunch of things. He's awesome. And he has a whole YouTube channel. It's called Invest Answers. And I've learned a ton about this, Tesla, so many alpha assets just by watching this one guy. And I've obviously watched many people on this, but he's been incredible. So look him up. I have his YouTube right there, James at Invest Answers. And the crazy thing about him is, which I totally appreciate because I know how hard this is, he goes live on YouTube every single day. And it's not about hype. It's not like buy this or he's shilling that or saying this. It's literally mathematical data, on-chain analytics based on what's happening. Like, this is how many people are doing this. This is what's happening here. So check out his YouTube. He's live every day, 20 minutes or so. He doesn't even skip a Sunday. Like every single day. This guy is a tyrant about it. And I just love his content. It's all about chasing alpha, the best performing assets, the greatest companies. You all know that there's only a handful of companies that have produced return on the S&P 500 in the stock market. There's only a handful. There's thousands of companies. There's only a handful. And most of them, Facebook, Apple, Google, Alphabet, Tesla. Most of these are the tech companies that that have really kept stock market afloat based on their returns. If you look at the last 50 years, it's not, these other random companies. If you look at it, the data he breaks it down really well on that channel as well. So if you want to learn up on forward technologies and you want to be on the right side of change and you want to be a part of disruption, number one thing before you believe me or you go off of this, do your research and be like, I know that those people that are on the right side of disruption, meaning that these disruptive technologies, imagine if you got into Apple before the iPhone came out. Think about it. Imagine if you got Tesla when it was just a prototype and you just, imagine how that would be. So you want to be on the right side of disruption. And the only way you can do that is to learn and to study. Being a clinician, sometimes there's this wet blanket of dentistry over us, and it just keeps soaking us with more patients and work and all that. And I don't want you guys to miss out on that, because I think between now and 2030, there's going to be a huge wealth transference and wealth creation and the technology is going to drive that shift.